All right. So my name is Mustafa Shahid, and with me is Govind Bawal. And today we are going to provide a workshop on forms and surveys. So regarding that, let me just share my screen. Um, yeah. So on the screen in front of you is a very basic form in which you can see a few fields, which is a first name, last name, email, phone, a submit button, and so on. But before we move on to that, what it is, let's start first with what are forms. So, forms are documents or web pages that contains fields or sections that are used to collect information from individuals or organizations. They are commonly used to gather data, feedback, or requests from people in a structured or organized manner. So, when or why are they used? Forms can be used for a variety of purposes. For example, collecting personal information from job applicants or event attendees. It can be used for gathering customer feedback or satisfaction surveys. It can be used for collecting payment information for goods and services, gathering leads or contact information for marketing purposes, or conducting polls or surveys to gather opinions or data on a specific topic. Forms can be simple or complex depending on the information being collected and the desired level of detail. And it is used because it prevents mistakes, it saves a lot of time, and it encourages the users to record the responses easily. Then, then we come to the use cases. Where are they used? So if you look at different industries, every industry might have a different understanding of when and where they will be using a form. If they are in the construction industry, they can have a safety checklist form, a project management form, equipment inspection reports. If they are in the manufacturing industry, they might have production scheduling forms, quality control checklist forms, and so on and so forth. If they are in the education services, they might have feedback forms, event planning forms, student registration forms, and so on. If they are in the field services, they might have work order forms, customer satisfaction surveys, inventory request forms, and so on and so forth. Then moving on, sorry, what are the different types of forms? So just hold on for a second. All right, so the first type of forms are application forms. Application forms typically ask for a range of information. All right, so sorry. Application forms typically ask for a range of information such as personal details, name, address, contact information, education, employment history, and so on and so forth. The most common places these are used are for job application, rental application, loan application, and much more. Then you have the briefing forms, which are the documents used to gather information about a project or a task that needs to be completed. They are typically filled out by a project manager, team leader, supervisor, to ensure that everyone involved in the project has a clear understanding of its goals. The most common places where these type of forms are used are a website brief, a content marketing agency, a project brief, and so on. Then you have calculator forms in which the users are allowed to input data and receive calculation or estimates based on that data. They are often used by businesses to provide customers with a quick and easy way to calculate the cost or savings associated with their products or services. One for a marketing agency could be an ROI calculator, there could be a mortgage calculator, a tax calculator, and so on and so forth. These calculator forms can be used in a variety of industries, including finance, real estate, e-commerce, and more. Then you have consent forms, which are the legal documents that obtain the consent of an individual to participate in an activity or allow the collection, use, and disclosure of their personal information. And then you have contact forms, which are the most basic forms that you may have seen on multiple websites or landing pages, where you don't even have to add your first name or last name. You might just have to add just an email address, maybe just your phone number, or you can have the first name, last name, and the email address as well. But it is a very simple way or a simple form in which you just need to add one or two fields and your data is sent to whoever is out there collecting it, the website in this case. Then you have data collection, eligibility forms, feedback forms, and so on and so forth. The list goes on and on for around 30 to 35 different types of forms. Then we come to what is the anatomy, or like what is a form like. For that, we have the title and description of a form, where you can, sorry, you can go in, you can change the name of the form so that it is you are able to find it easily. And then you have the fields in it, which is the first name, last name, and you have a multitude of other fields as well. So you have last name, date of birth, phone, email, you have a submit button, you have a payment integration. So if I use this and I click on this one, so you can connect your payment method, which is the Stripe method, or any other preferable method that you have. You can have the payment suggestions, the currency, different options, and the footer information, including other amounts, which you see. If I disable that, they wouldn't be able to include their own amount, and so on and so forth. So what this payment option will enable is, whenever a person is trying to fill a form and submit a form, he will have to make a payment in order to fill out that form. Again, it varies from industry to industry and the use case on why you are sending out that form in the first place. Then you might have an address, city, state, country to understand where they are, their mailing address, and so on and so forth. You can have a customized text. So if I place that, I can add a text which will include a description and different things, images. I can add my own agency branding or your company branding. So for example, where is it? Yeah, on the bottom, there's a enable option. If I enable that, it will enable our marketing agency. You can add a header image, background image, and if the designing of the form is too complicated for you, you can choose a theme, and then you can go with that. So if I just use the animal logo, for example, and we wait. So this is a type of form it showed up with a background image and the fields. So where do you go to access these forms? On your CRM, you will see on the left-hand side, there is a button by the name of Sites. When you go to that, you will have the Forms tab over here. You click on the builder, you get over here, you click on Add Form, and you can start from scratch, or you can choose from a template. I might have the templates open, so I just go over there. No, since I don't, let me just show you. You can just choose from a template, and then you have a marketing agency, auto sales, health insurance, hair extensions, chiropractor. You can use any one of these, and then you can edit the information over there, edit images, edit the fields, and add your own just to make it yourself, or for the reason that you're trying to make it, or generic registration form. And if you go scroll down, you will see if you can, if you click on the submit request, that is our form that we have enabled within the software. So you can reach out to us for your problems and for the solutions of the problems, and so on and so forth. Moving on. Now, if we go back to the forms, let's say you're trying to build a form, and we would be using the default theme just for simplicity purposes. And you say, all right, so the fields that I want to add, for example, are not mentioned over here. What do? You go to custom fields, and you can choose a custom field and add your own custom field. The way to do that is within the CRM. Where did that go? Here it is. Let me just share the screen. Within the CRM, if you go to the settings part and then you click on custom fields, you can add a field. Now, the field that you add could be a single line, multi-line, monetary, drop down in which you can select multiple options, or drop down in which you have to select a single option. Chatbots, you can add a file upload or a signature as well, or even a date picker. So, for example, the date picker could be used for when did you graduate, or when did you get your certification, or so on and so forth. So again, it depends upon why are you using it, and what kind of data are you trying to extract from it. So moving back to the forms, here we are. So you can add different type of fields. The fields that we have in this sub account of ours is the business phone, business email, business description. These are the type of questions that we typically ask from our potential clients. So just so with that, we have their business information with us and the major products or services they are interested in and so on and so forth. So now that you know about this, how do you design it? Well, when you reach to a form, this will be the page in front, open in front of you. First of all, you go into the styles and options. You click on the styles, and you can choose if it's an inline form or not. By clicking on the inline form, the fields that you have in front of you, which are taken up an entire row, will be split into and make your form smaller. If you disable the show label, it will clear out the name, the last name, first name, and just show the boxes. If you choose line, that's what it will do. So you can play around with it with the shadows and the padding and the images. Then if you go into the options, you can change out its name. What will happen when you click on, whenever a user clicks on the button to submit, will they be receiving a message, or will they be taken to a different URL, maybe a thank you page, and so on and so forth. Then you can add your pixel ID. You can enable sticky contact, which I would urge that you do, so that if anyone has filled out a form previously but did not submit it and is going again to the page where the form was presented, they do not have to re-enter all their information. They can just click, and a drop-down menu just shows up in which they can select the name and phone number, email from previously filled fields. So that's what it will enable. So that's what you can do. So after that, the reason we have chosen forms as today's workshop is because of the next thing I'm about to show you. When you're using forms, now you can use conditional logic within forms. So what that does is, whenever you're trying your users or your audience to fill out a form, you can redirect them to different URLs based on the different type of answers that they have chosen. So for example, let's say if the email is is empty. If the email is empty, they go to a different page. You can have multiple, like if the email is empty and the phone number is empty, you can have a different, or yeah, if it is empty, you can have them go to a different page or have a different action to them. And the same way you can, sorry, let me just recollect myself. If you choose this, the redirect URL, what you can do is, for example, if you have a job application and you are looking for job applicants for different industries or different categories, for example, janitorial, marketing services, field services, construction, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. So if you have an option or a drop-down menu in which they have to select for which field are they applying. If they click janitorial, only then when they click on the submit button, they'll be landing to a janitorial landing page in which the janitorial jobs are shown. Same goes for all the other fields. If they choose any other field, they'll be redirected to only the specific job page regarding to that category. So this is what redirect to URL can do. And this is not just for the applications, it can be used for multiple different reasons. But again, it depends upon how you want to use it. You can have them display a custom message for every different person. So if, for example, if you're in the real estate and a person is trying to buy a house for 500,000 or a million or 2 billion and so on, and you want to display a different sort of a message to each one of them, you can use this. If you want to show or hide a field based on what they have answered above in the previous fields, you can use this. For example, if a person says, I do not have a degree, I haven't completed my education, you don't want to show them a field which says, select the date when you graduated or when you had your graduating ceremony. And these are very basic things which I'm telling you right now, but the use cases are limitless. And you can even disqualify a lead based on the answers that I have provided. So for example, if someone says, if a certain type of registration or a license is required for a job or for an event or something like that, and if they say they don't have it, You don't have to tell them that they have been disqualified, but you can just disqualify them from the back end. So even when they submit the form, you wouldn't, you will not get their information in your system as a qualified lead, and so on and so forth. So these are the things that you can use it for. Then you can select the notification options regarding the email notification, whether they receive an email when they fill out the form or not. An autoresponder, which will send an automated response or an automatic email to the person who submits the form. An email includes a copy of the information they entered in the form. So you can send them back the information that they just entered within the form. Then we have the integrate options. So when you have your form ready, you have created the form, you have created the conditional logics and everything. Where does your form go and how is it presented? You click on the integrate button, and then you can choose whether it's an inline form, which means it will be a part of a funnel or a website, and it will be placed within that form, within that funnel, sorry. And it show always activated, never deactivate, and so on. If you try to click pop-up, what it will do is you can select if a person is, let's say, he has been scrolling to your page and he reaches the half page, that's when it shows up, or maybe the 100% when it person scroll down to the bottom, only then it shows. Maybe you want it to show when a person stays on your web page or your website or your funnel for, let's say, 10 seconds, then it shows so that he had some time to read the content, and now the form is being shown up, activates, deactivates, and that's what we can use, again, depending upon how you want your form to be displayed, when you want it to be displayed, and what happens when the person has filled out the form. Then you have the polite slide in which your form slides up right here. For example, if this used to be a form and a form would just slide up like that in front of you, and you can have a sticky sidebar so a person can keep scrolling your web page or your funnel page, and the form will be displayed on the left hand side of the page. So this is how you can use to integrate your forms. Moving on, what to expect in the future from this platform, this software regarding forms. So just give me a second. Yeah. So in the future, you will be allowed to, sorry, you will be allowed to add the opportunity status from the pipelines in the forms and surveys. You will be able to use it for quizzes. You will be able to use it for multi-step forms. You will be able to add the time signed to form submission PDFs, SMS verification tests with a random code. So, for example, if someone has entered a wrong number, they will be receiving a code, and they will have to then, add that code within the form in order to submit that form. So that way you can verify the number if they have entered the correct number or not, and so on and so forth. Now, forms and surveys are usually thought of the same thing, but they have very minor differences. And for that reason, I'll be handing it over to Cohen to explain what the differences and the similarities between surveys and forms are. So over to you, Cohen.
Thank you very much, Mustafa. I am Colin Powell. I'll teach you how to use surveys in contrast to forms. They are a longer form of forms, which allow you to ask multiple questions on multiple pages. So if you require information from your clients and it can't all fit on one page, this is where you would use surveys. So I'll be sharing my screen. Oh, one moment. All right, so what you want to do is go to your account for your business, go down to sites, go to surveys, add survey, and I will not be going into as much detail as Mustafa because surveys are very similar to forms, and he already covered the majority of the information there. So here we have our blank slate. And what we want is to ask questions of our clients or leads. So here on the left-hand side, we can add a survey element, and we have multiple options that give us an idea of what our lead is. So here we have full name. It gives us an option to add in full name, phone, email, and here you have a little checkbox that basically confirms with the lead, hey, I agree with giving my information and you sending me messages through the information provided. And here we have a pretty, uh, uh, just a pretty filled out survey already. But if we want to add more info, such as a custom question that wouldn't be normally in the custom fields, like there are multiple options that you have already. Let's say we want to add something new, such as, are you wanting to grow your business? What we want to do is add a custom field, select radius select. We have multiple options, but let's do this one. Field name, let's do test one. Group, additional info. Our options are yes and no. Save. Well,
You might have to change the name.
yep. Let's change it to test three. And so we have our custom field made, so let's search it up. And here we have our test three. And let's say we want to change the label. We can change it to, if you want to grow your business. And here we have our question ready. Then we can make the buttons redirect you to a certain page. If we want to add multiple pages, hit the plus button at the bottom of each page or slide. And here we can, if the lead decides to choose yes, we can make them go to slide 3. If they choose no, we can make them go to slide 2. And let's say slide 3 is that they completed the survey. So let's add special text saying, thank you for your submission. You may now close this page. And center it up, making it nice. Well, it just decides not to work, but normally it would center it up. And say they say no, we want to add something for slide 2 if they say no. So we can add another custom field. Test 4. Additional info. Yes. No. Test 4. Are you sure? And say they say yes, we can disqualify them from the survey immediately. And if they say no, we can redirect them all the way back to slide 1 where they can refill in the information. Now, for some of our clients, let's say, for example, labor max staffing, this can be really useful. You can get your FTMs or new clients information very easily. You can also add in custom fields for their personal preferences. There is a lot of creativity behind surveys and a lot you can mess around with. But there is a lot that you can do with it. And really, it's all about preference on whether you want to use forms or surveys. Like I said before, surveys are mainly for long form information gathering. And that is basically the gist of surveys. Is there anything else you would like to add, Mustafa?
Yeah, one of the key differences between forms and surveys and when to use which one to use is if someone is appearing on your website or your landing page for the first time as a cold lead, you might be using the forms, so that is smaller. It's direct information in front of them and on one page. And if someone is a warm lead or a client or maybe a customer with you, you can send them out a survey for a longer version of a form so that he or she can go through one by each page and enter all the detailed information. So that is the main difference behind the usage of forms and surveys. So I'm hoping that we have covered everything that is there is to know about forms and surveys. But if any one of you wants to take a deeper dive into it, about what type of forms they want to use or what type of forms they can use within their industry, for which purposes, they can schedule a meeting with us, book an appointment with us, or just send a request for us, and we will be gladly to help you out. Apart from that, if any one of you has any more questions for us, we'd be glad to help. So do anyone has any questions regarding forms or surveys?
Hey, Mustafa, thanks for doing that. I tend to think of forms as lead generation on landing pages and websites, but I like the idea of using it internally for all types of things. It could be internal checklists, it could be anything internally among staff, onboarding a new client, everything like that. And then just one of the ways that we use surveys is you can ask questions. A lot of you might be able to do this also. You can ask the questions, and you're not telling them that they're not a prospect, but by their answers, they can disqualify themselves with their answers, where you might end up saying them information or a white paper on your industry, but if they answer them the way that you want them to answer, then you are asking them for what we might call a discovery or a strategy session or something like that to further the sales process. So yeah, I like that I didn't tend to pigeonhole the way that we use things, but I like the idea. I'd like to implement more forms internally with the staff.
And just to carry that your answer forward, I have visited a lot of different businesses pages and websites and informational websites, and the amount of forms and services that forms and surveys that they use have given me this inspiration about what the possibilities are, and the possibilities are endless. So if you don't want to tell the person that they have been disqualified, you don't have to tell them. They can fill out the form happily, thinking that they might be getting an email or something, or maybe you can even set up a logic behind it so that if they are disqualified, they receive an email immediately afterwards that sorry, the position has been filled, or so we have taken your information and we might be reaching out to you soon as soon as an availability for that position, and so on and so forth. So when it comes down to when or how to use that, I believe inspiration is key. So the more research you do, or maybe even if you check out your competitors within the same industry, you might have a new approach towards how to use your forms or how to make it more better, more shorter, more concise. If you want to go towards a survey or do you want to go towards a form, it all explains it to you. And again, creativity is unimaginable. Whatever you want to create, it can be done. You want to add a background image, you want to add a video, a custom text, custom image, whatever you want. So again, it depends upon when and how you want to use it.
Christina, are you there? I just want to see if she might have an
No,
idea
she's, yeah, I
on
think
how
she
to
is.
use the. Anyways, thank you very much. It really opened my eyes to using them much more different ways than we're currently using them.
Yeah, probably. If anyone has any question, they can ask. If they don't, you can just let me know that what we explained to you was easy to understand, easy to digest. And as I said previously, I'll say it again, if you want to have a deeper dive about it, you want to have a better understanding about it, or you want us to create something for you, you can let us know by submitting either a request or you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with us and we will be glad to make that happen for you. And if there are no more questions, I think that I have done my job properly and explained to you properly. So yeah, that's it for today. And I hope you all have a great day moving forward. And I'll be seeing you in the future, probably next week for the next week's workshop. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.